There is an algorithm that is called the Shor algorithm, which allows with this private key, this public key, to make it in what is it called? Do it by, let me check my notes. By factoring it, you can try to use that factorization to find the different combinations that lead from the public key to the private key and thus have access to those Bitcoin. Currently, the addresses that can be compromised with this algorithm are 25% of the available Bitcoin, which is about 4 million, right? So, these 4 million, by using this algorithm, having the key, public key, could obtain the private key. The issue is that with this algorithm, with a classical computer, with the computers we have, right? To be able to decipher a private key given a public key with this algorithm and a computer like the ones we have today, it would take millennia. It would take the history and humanity to hack a private key. But what happens with a quantum computer? As we said, these quantum computers can execute different types of realities at the same time. Therefore, it could what this algorithm would do is test one by one on a classical computer, which would make it almost impossible, but instead with a quantum one, it could be executed simultaneously, thousands and thousands of operations, so that those millennia, it would take me with a classical computer to hack a Bitcoin address. With a quantum computer, it would be possible to do in hours of work. So here comes the issue of fear. So yes, Fernando, you're telling me that a quantum computer can hack a Bitcoin address. And actually, yes. Hello everyone, I am the Bitcoin Libertarian here with you again, and today I want to talk about something that is being discussed a lot, and there are a ton of posts being made on X and in the Bitcoin community and the scientific community, which is quantum computing. Many say that quantum computers can hack the Bitcoin network and can cause millions, thousands of millions of dollars in value to be lost from the Bitcoin network. Many say that something urgent needs to be done. Others say that the risk is not so unfounded. But here we are going to talk a little about what a quantum computer is, how it can attack Bitcoin, and what the possibilities are of that happening. And in the end, I will give my own conclusion on the topic, because all this FUD is being generated. FUD in Bitcoin terms is fear, uncertainty, and doubt with what is going to happen with quantum computing, which is very much in vogue these days. So let's see what. First and foremost, let's see what a quantum computer is, because one says, well, the quantum computer. Actually, the quantum computer is not a MacBook that you can buy at an Apple store and it runs faster. A quantum computer has a special design, right? That makes it work according to the laws of quantum physics, which are not the laws of physics we have in the world we live in day to day. Quantum physics studies physics at the atomic level, at the level of the atom, at the level of atomic interaction. So it is not a MacBook computer that runs faster or has a different type of functioning, and that's what makes it so particular. The quantum computer, actually, for that, we need to know how our normal computer works. The common computer, what it is based on is everything we see from from computers, all the operations are called bits, right? Everything is based on something called bits. Bits are a binary state, right? It can be a 1 or it can be a 0. It's like a light switch that marks 0 when it's off and 1 when it's on. Based on those combinations of ones and zeros, we have all the operations of current computers, right? When, for example, they talk about something that has 256 bits, 16 bits, it means that the size of that number is 256 ones or zeros. The quantum computer comes into play, right, with the states of quantum physics. Here, those states are determined by probabilities. And sorry if I'm saying something wrong, but I'm bringing it down to earth as much as possible. The quantum computer, instead of having those bits, actually has qubits. What does qubits mean? Qubits is a kind of bit that can have a multiple state. The bits of a normal computer can only be 0 or can be 1. In contrast, a quantum computer, right? Those qubits mean that it can have both 0 and 1. It has a multiple state simultaneously, right? So this would be like a coin. Let's see. If in common computing, those bits are a switch that can be on or off, a quantum computer is a coin spinning in the air. A coin that is spinning in the air, it has heads, it has tails, but while it is spinning in the air, we don't know what it is. It can be both heads and tails. So what allows these states that grow exponentially, they can operate many things in parallel. So that's why these superposition states that quantum computers have allows us to execute many different tasks in parallel. It's as if, for example, I don't know, I go to a library and want to find a book. A regular computer will go shelf by shelf, book by book, until finding that book I am looking for, whereas a quantum computer can illuminate that library shelf and automatically select the book that is that I was looking for. So that is basically how the quantum computer works. You can imagine different, not imagine, process different realities simultaneously until finding the result that can be found. So these are quantum computers. Quantum computers exist, right? They are not a science fiction. It's not something that doesn't exist. They exist, but they exist in very extreme conditions. I can't have a quantum computer in the living room of my house. A quantum computer is in places. I don't know if you saw the photo. It's like a kind of, they are like tubes too. It's not like a common computer. A quantum computer has to be in places at very low temperatures, near absolute zero, right? It cannot be at room temperature or with air conditioning, so it needs a very large cooling system. It also has to be in places where there is no seismic activity. It has to be very controlled. So as we can see, a quantum computer, although it can solve operations at an infinitely greater speed than a common computer because it can operate different realities at the same time and select which is the most correct, I also cannot have it in my house or in a common house. And besides, it costs billions of dollars, so a quantum computer from the start cannot be easily accessible, not even for a terrorist organization, right? So, the quantum computers that exist today, we had talked about them having those qubits instead of bits. The ones that exist today, for example, Google has a prototype that reaches around 1,000 physical qubits. Yes? Those qubits, those 1,000 qubits, which I don't know if they are many or few, are actually few. For practical applications, much larger orders of magnitude are needed. Moreover, these qubits in this interaction can generate a lot of noise. There can be interferences. Therefore, they do not return the expected results. So we are going to divide these qubits into physical qubits and logical qubits. The logical qubit is the qubit that truly gives the result without noise. To have a logical qubit, there must be at least 1,000 physical qubits. So we have that Google's computer has around 1,000 physical qubits, but in reality it would have one logical qubit, right? With algorithms, with an algorithm, with a code called surface code, those logical qubits are found, which ultimately end up solving the problems. So, to see how the quantum computer can attack Bitcoin, what we need to understand is how two keys are generated. Two fundamental things. A Bitcoin wallet has two keys. As we saw yesterday in Noster, the same thing happens here. Bitcoin will have a public key and a private key. To put it in context, as if it were a bank, the public key would be your CBU, right? and the private key would be the password to send a transaction. So when I want to send a transaction, I need to sign that transaction with my private key, right? Which, for those who know a little more, is what translates into 12 or 24 words, but in reality, it is a code, a string that cannot be seen very easily. These private keys are generated through an elliptic curve algorithm for digital signatures called, according to its initials in English, ECDSA. What this private key generates is a public key, which is the visible key and allows verification without exposing the secret. Those public keys are visible on the blockchain because they point to what is your account number. If I want to receive Bitcoin, I give you, if you have seen that there are QRs or also very long strings of characters, that would be your public key. So in theory, as of today, it is not possible, knowing a public key, to obtain the private key, right? But there is an algorithm. Yes, there is an algorithm that is called the Shor algorithm, which allows, with this private key, this public key, to make it in what is it called? Do it by let me check my notes. By factoring it, you can try to use that factorization to find the different combinations that lead from the public key to the private key and thus have access to those Bitcoin. Currently, the addresses that can be compromised with this algorithm are 25% of the available Bitcoin, which is about 4 million, right? So, these 4 million, by using this algorithm, could, having the key, public key, could obtain the private key. The issue is that with this algorithm, with a classical computer, with the computers we have, right? To be able to decipher a private key given a public key with this algorithm and a computer like the ones we have today, it would take millennia. It would take the history and humanity to hack a private key. But what happens with a quantum computer? As we said, these quantum computers can execute different types of realities at the same time. Therefore, it could what this algorithm would do is test one by one on a classical computer, which would make it almost impossible. But instead, with a quantum one, it could be executed simultaneously, thousands and thousands of operations, so that those millennia, it would take me with a classical computer to hack a Bitcoin address. With a quantum computer, it would be possible to do in hours of work. So here comes the issue of fear. So yes, Fernando, you're telling me that a quantum computer can hack a Bitcoin address. And actually, yes, as of today, the private keys, 25% of those private keys are vulnerable to an attack by a quantum computer. But here comes the good news. They say the good news is that we had seen that the quantum computers we have today have around 1, 2, or even up to 100 logical qubits to operate it. For a quantum computer to hack a Bitcoin address, and I'm not talking about the entire blockchain, but a Bitcoin wallet, okay? It needs at least 2,330 or more logical qubits. Today we said that the ones with the most have around 100 logical qubits. Yes. So I need a computer that has 2,330 or more logical qubits, which does not exist today. And also, what I need to know is that the computers that generate the most physical qubits today have around 1 million. And if I have these logical qubits to these 2,300, 2,400 logical qubits that a quantum computer needs to hack a Bitcoin address, it's because I need around 300 million physical qubits. Therefore, according to how technology is evolving today, and we see estimates being made, it means that this will be possible in 10 or 20 years. So the quantum risk is still not very feasible. In fact, there are calculations that say that by the year 2030, between 2030 and 2035, there is a probability of between 15 and 20% that this quantum technology will be developed to attack a wallet of Bitcoin. Simultaneously, the NIST, which are regulatory institutes that develop new algorithms, are developing algorithms resistant to quantum computers like the MLChem for key encapsulation, the MLDSA for digital signatures, the CLHDSA based on hash functions, and offering a conservative backup, and the HQC, which is focused on error correcting codes for diversification. So, with this, what we mean is that quantum computing can hack a Bitcoin address, which actually not just one can hack 25% of Bitcoin wallets, which are generally the old wallets from the Satoshi era. So, if you are not OGs, you probably won't have any problem with quantum computers. Right now, to hack those wallets, what needs to be generated is such a large computational power that the cost-benefit ratio today would not be possible. Let's suppose that today I could have all that technology. I would have to spend more than $1 trillion on the attack. For what? To obtain 25% of all circulating Bitcoin, around 4 million Bitcoin, which would be in fiat money about $500,000, $500 million. On the other hand, you would say, well, but I'm not going to sell it today. I hold it, and in the future, they will be worth much more. Actually, and this is what I say, hacking the Bitcoin network, hacking Bitcoin is like shooting yourself in the foot. Why? Because one of the things that gives Bitcoin value, when they tell you that Bitcoin is not backed by anything, it is backed by security, it is backed by invulnerability. Can you imagine how many times there have been attempts to hack Bitcoin since Bitcoin has existed? And Bitcoin is the network that is constantly being attacked, and that makes it stronger. Now, if I demonstrate that with a quantum computer, I can hack Bitcoin and steal the Bitcoin from a wallet, automatically, upon finding that vulnerability, the price of Bitcoin will start to fall. It will start to fall dramatically because it is no longer a safe means to store your money and your value. So I am going to hack something that the very moment I hack it, it will lose value. Therefore, I have no incentive to operate. Added to this, it is very complex to get a quantum computer. It's not like going and buying a MacBook at an Apple store. Therefore, if I get access to a quantum computer, I won't hack the Bitcoin network. I'll hack the HSBC network so I can steal the money, convert it to Bitcoin, and no one will know what happened. Although the bank network has many more layers that perhaps make it secure, being within centralized servers makes it much easier to access and not steal a wallet, but automatically steal all the money in the banks of the world. So, I think the fear of quantum computing is something that has been around for a long time, and that although it should be respected, I believe it is not a threat to Bitcoin in the medium term. We have to see how everything evolves, but I also think the incentives to protect Bitcoin are getting bigger. Therefore, there are many projects working on algorithms and control systems to make Bitcoin resistant to a quantum attack. So that is the conclusion. I believe there is no imminent quantum threat. It could happen after 2035 or 2040, but by then Bitcoin will already have much more security because the community is so strong that it will make it so secure that the quantum computer will not be able to attack it. Well, that's all. Sorry if I wasn't very if I couldn't explain the technical things well. I hope you understood. I hope those who are afraid have gotten rid of their fear, and I hope those who want to know something or delve deeper into this topic, leave it written in the comments so that I am compelled to study more and provide better value for all of you. See you in the next episode of our podcast. Share this episode with the people you love. Share this episode with the people you hate, because we need to reach 8 billion people using Bitcoin. Stay humble, stack sats, and remember, we are all Satoshi.
And that's all for today. If you like the episode, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media. Our X account is the Bitcoin _. Our YouTube channel is the Libertarian BTC. Our YouTube channel in Spanish is Libertarian BTC ESP. Our Patreon, the Bitcoin Libertarian. Our Instagram, the Bitcoin Libertarian. That's all. You can go there and follow us in all our social media.